Good morning, children. Today I am going to start the how to protect workers in the unorganized sector. Before that, I will give you a small brief introduction about what I taught you yesterday. Yesterday you saw there are three sectors in the economy. One is the primary sector, second one is the secondary sector, and the third one is the tertiary sector. In the primary sector, it deals with the natural products which are found in the nature, and in the secondary sector it deals with the manufacturing process or the industrial sector. In the tertiary sector it deals with the services, for example transport, banking, insurance, etc., storage facilities. So it deals with the service sector. And another thing we learnt the difference between organized sector and unorganized sector. In organized sector you saw that everything is regular, they are following the rules and regulations, they get the paid leaves, and they get the job security, they get the good salary, they get the health benefits, safe drinking water, safe working environment, good drinking water, all the facilities are provided to them. Whereas in unorganized sector they are paid very less, there is no employment, regular employment is not there, seasonal employment is there, job security is not there, whenever they want they can terminate them. And you can see that they are paid very less salary and they don't get any benefits and the facilities. Now you all know about what happens in the unorganized sector. So if these are the problems they are facing in the unorganized sector, then how to protect the workers who are working in the unorganized sector? You know that maximum people are working in the unorganized sector rather than the organized sector. Most of them people don't get the job in the organized sector, and around 60 to 70% of Indian population are working in the unorganized sector. So let us see what happens in unorganized sector and how can we give protection to the unorganized sector workers. The organized sector offers jobs that are most sought after, but the employment opportunities in the organized sector have been expanding very slowly. It is also common to find many organized sector enterprises in the unorganized sector. They adopt such strategies to evade taxes and refuse to follow laws that protect the laborers. Here you can see unorganized sectors, the job offers are more compared to the organized sector. In the organized sector they get very less job offers. And what happens in the unorganized sector, in order to escape from the taxes, what they are doing, they don't follow the rules and regulations of the government. In order to escape themselves from the taxes, in order to make more and more profit, they don't follow any rules and regulation of the government. You can see lot of the institutions such, right, where people are working from morning to evening, especially in the garment factories where the women are working, gents are working for 8 hours, 12 hours. They are not overpaid, they don't get the leaves, even on Sunday they are working, and they are paid very less salary, 150 rupees per day, 200 rupees per day, only this much of the salary are paid. They are not getting the leaves, they are working throughout the year, right? Like this, all these things are there. And the garment factory owners, they don't pay them more salary, they pay them very less salary. They adopt such a strategy to evade taxes and refuse to follow that laws that protect the laborers. They don't follow any labor law. Accordingly, that they have to give insurance facility, they have to give health facility, they have to give safe working environment, they have to give them good drinking water, but all those things they don't follow. As a result, a large number of workers are forced to enter the unorganized sector jobs which pay a very low salary. They are not getting the jobs in the organized sector, they have to run the family. You know, our population, Indian population is 130 crores. In order to run their family, what they are doing, they are involving themselves in the unorganized sector, so that they take that low salary and they have to take care of the whole family, all the family members. For that sake, they are working in the unorganized sector. They are often exploited and not paid a fair wage. Yes, they are often exploited. They are not given the wages that the government is giving, even though they are working in the same. They are working the same, but they are not paid the salary according to that. They don't pay the same salary which the government is paying, or the organized sector is paying for the employees. They are paying very low salary. They are often exploited and not paid a fair wage. Their earnings are low and not regular. Yes, their earnings are very low compared to the organized sector. Their earnings are very, very low. Their jobs are not regular. The jobs are also not regular. When there is according to season wise, they are having the jobs. If there is no season, if there is no demand of that product or goods and services, what the laborers are done, they are removed away from the organization. Whenever they get the demand, whenever they get the orders, they call them and they make them to work in the organization. These jobs are not secular and have no other benefits. Yes, these jobs are not at all secular. What you can say, they don't have job security. Any time the boss may terminate them. Any time the boss may tell them to go out of the job. So they don't have the job security, and they don't have any other benefits. Any other benefits like insurance facility, pension facility, health card facility. All these facilities are not available to them. Health insurance is not there. Right? A safe working environment is also not provided by the organization. Since the 1990s, it is also common to see a large number of workers losing their jobs in the organized sector. These workers are forced to take up the jobs in the unorganized sector with low earnings. Yes, this is happening. Now you see, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, what we saw, lot of people who were employed in the very good organization were removed. For example, you take from JK factory, Dalmia, all big factories, right? Some of the employees were removed in the COVID-19 situation. From Britannia company, so many workers were removed. From Mahindra company, the workers were removed from the organization. Right, whenever there is a recession, whenever the market is there down, that time they remove the laborers from the workers from the organization, and they are forced to work in the unorganized sectors where they are given very less paid salary. Hence, besides the need for more work, there is also a need for protection and support of the workers in the unorganized sector. Yes, the workers should be supported. The workers should be given some type of support from the government who are working in the unorganized sector. Here you can see a person who is selling the vegetables on the roadside. You have to see that he should be given some of the protection from the government. See, whenever there are floods, whenever there are there is a drought, these people are the people along with the farmers. These people are also suffering a lot. They lose their jobs. They don't know how to lead their livelihood. So government should support such people also. Who are these vulnerable people who need protection? In the rural areas, the unorganized sector mostly comprises of landless agricultural laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers and artisans such as weavers, blacksmiths, carpenters and goldsmiths. Yes, you can see here in rural areas, the unorganized sector mostly consists, please underline it, landless agricultural laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers and artisans. So these are the people who are poor, who don't have land also. If something drought or flood comes, that time not only farmers are affected, but these persons who are purchasing the farmers goods and they are selling it in the markets, they are also going to suffer a lot, because these are the laborers who are working in the farmers fields, because they don't have land. Some of them work in the farmers field, some of them sell the vegetables which the farmers have grown in the market and they earn money. But what happens if such things happens in the COVID-19 situation? You have seen all these people were of no job. If there is no job, how can they run their family? Because whatever it comes today, they use it to run their family. If they are earning 200 rupees per day or 100 rupees per day, that they are spending on their livelihood on that day, because 5 members are dependent on one person. The person who is working, if he earns 100 rupees per day, in that 100 rupees he has to satisfy the hunger of 4 people in his home. Weavers, blacksmith, carpenters and goldsmith, these are the examples of the workers who are working in the unorganized sectors. They also suffer whenever the economy is down. In this all situations, in COVID-19 situations, all the shops were closed, so that time weavers, they don't get the order for weaving the clothes. Blacksmiths and carpenters, they don't get the orders. Goldsmiths, when the gold rate is more, they don't get any job. For example, in COVID-19 situation, no one was interested to wear the gold. Everyone was feared that whether we will live or not. Everyone was behind health. Everyone was health conscious. Then who is interested to wear the gold? So these goldsmiths also suffer in those situations. Nearly 80% of rural households in India are in small and marginal farmer category. Yes, our farmers are not rich. What type of farmers we are having in our country? We are having the marginal farmers. Marginal farmers means the farmers who have very small acres of land, who is taking off their land also. And suppose if the landlord tells him, take my care of 2 acres land, he is taking care of that. And whatever the profit comes, the landowner will give him 25% of that. So these are called the marginal farmers. So if the farmer gets the income, if the landlord gets the income from that, he will give him 25%. If he doesn't get income, then what is there he will not get a single rupee as a marginal profit. So these farmers are marginal farmers. They are not having very high incomes. They have very less incomes. These farmers need to be supported through adequate facility for timely delivery of seeds, agricultural inputs, credit, storage facilities and marketing outlets. Yes, these people should be given. Government should support the farmers. For example, in America, government stand with the farmers. In Great Britain, Canada, Australia, we are seeing that government is providing full support for the farmers in terms of, it may be delivery of seeds, it may be agricultural inputs, credit facilities, storage facilities and marketing outlets. The government is giving a backup support is more from the government. See what it says, timely delivery of seeds. This line is most important. Whenever there is a rainy season, before that they have to go for the sowing of the seeds. When rain comes, if they sow the seeds, it will all wash away with the rainwater. So timely delivery of the seeds before monsoon enters. If monsoon entry is entering, Karnataka, in the month of June or in the month of May, they have to start sowing the land, tilling the land, everything, at least in the last week of April, so that when the rain comes, the seeds get proper water and they start becoming a plant, they start growing a plant. Timely delivery of the seeds is very important. Credit facility should be given, agricultural inputs should be given, and storage facilities, whatever they have grown, that should be stored for a month in order to get good price. The whatever the products, whatever the goods and services they have produced, it should be stored for a month. And marketing outlets, there should be markets available for the agricultural produce. Whatever they have produced, the farmers should get the markets where they can go sit and sell the goods and services. Everywhere you are seeing, in Mudhol you have APMC market. Municipal corporation has provided the market near bus stand, where all the people go there and they sell the vegetables, right? In the urban areas, unorganized sector comprises mainly of workers in small scale industry, casual workers in construction, trade and transport, etc. And those who work as street vendors, head load workers, garment makers, rag pickers, etc. So these are the people who are going to suffer. They are the workers who are working in small scale industry. They don't get the proper wage, because in the small scale industry the profit is not so much, so they don't get the what we can say, the proper wage or the required wage what they had to get. And the persons who are working in trade and transport, loading and unloading the goods and services, construction of the buildings, the workers who are working, actually they have to be paid 500 rupees per day, 800 rupees per day, but how much they are paying? 300 rupees, 250 rupees per day. Vendors, street vendors means the persons who are selling the goods and services on the streets. How much they are getting? They are also getting per day, they will have an income of 20 rupees, 50 rupees, that much only. Rag pickers means the one who go, you are seeing no kasayatoru, right? They come, they pick the bottles, waste bottles, they pick the waste bags and all. So those are the rag pickers. They collect the old newspapers from your home, glass bottles from your home, old utensils from your home, and they pay you some money for that. So how much they get? They get a very less thing. Small scale industry also needs government support for procuring raw material and marketing of output. So government support for procuring raw materials. Government should support them in procuring the raw materials. When they are collecting the raw materials, when they are taking the raw material, when they are purchasing the raw materials, if government gives them the support, then what happens? It becomes easy for them. Because of the government support, they also earn good amount of profit, and that profit amount they can distribute it to the workers. They can give them the good payment. Instead of 250, they can give them 300, 400 rupees per day, right? And marketing of output, if marketing also, if the government is supporting them, then they can give them what we can say, the essential wages which is required to pay for the laborers. We also find that majority of workers from scheduled caste, tribes and backward communities find themselves in the unorganized sector. So whatever the OBC, other backward caste like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward caste, OBC, they are all working in the unorganized sector, because these are all the backward class of the economy, and also they are working in such sectors where they do not earn as much as the salary that is needed to run their family. Right. Besides getting the irregular and low paid work, these workers also face social discrimination. Yes. Here they are facing two challenges. One is they are getting the socially discrimination. They have to face the social discrimination also, and they are paid very less Financial discrimination also they are facing, as well as the social discrimination also they are facing. When will this caste come up in our country? When this caste will become developed in our country? If they are paid less, there is a financial discrimination, there is a social discrimination. Do you think that there will be upper liftment of this caste? Like so scheduled caste and scheduled caste, do they come up in the society? No, not at all. So this should be done less. Protection and support to the unorganized sector workers is thus necessary for both economic and social development. In order to have economic and social development, what we want to have, we have to see that these unorganized sector workers get the proper facilities from the government, get the proper wages from the organization in which they are working, so that there will be social development of our country as well as economic development of our country, which is most essential. In India, everyone's standard of living should increase. Poor class should become middle class should become rich class. His standard of living is most important. I have already told you, I have told you in many classes, if you are born poor, it is not your mistake. But if you die as a poor, definitely it is a blunder mistake which you are doing. For all that, what is necessary? Education is most necessary. Education is a tool. Kids, please sit and study your 10th class. Don't waste your time. Right? You have to study now. You have seen what is happening. See, if you don't get the necessary qualified degrees, if you don't do proper percentages, then what happens to you? You are forced to work in unorganized sectors. If you don't want to suffer as the unorganized sector workers are suffering, then you study well and get the jobs in the organized sector, so that your standard of living increases, your income increases. You can see your social development as well as economic development in the society. So please keep in your mind and start studying. Forget corona and all. Now it's the time to sit and study. Sectors in terms of ownership. Then the terms of ownership, we have two sectors. When it comes to the in terms of ownership, how many sectors we are having? We are having two sectors. One is the public sector and another one is the private sectors. Another way of classifying economic activities into sectors could be on the basis of who owns asset and is responsible for the delivery of services. So who is owning the asset and who is responsible for delivering of these services. Let us see, in the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. So in the public sector, what happens here? All the assets, all the securities, all the services are owned by whom? By the government. In the private sector, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of the private services. So here the asset owner, the services owner is the owner is in the hands. It is in the hands of the private sector. So public sector means it is a government owned sector. Private sector means here private individual person or individual organization is owning the sector. Right. So let us see railways examples of this. Railways or post office is an example of the public sector, whereas companies like Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited or Reliance Industries Limited are privately owned. Here I told you public sector means it is purely owned by the government. So HAL is their example. Your government municipal corporations are there, railway department is there, defense department is there, air force is there. It is all owned by whom? By the government. KSRTC is there, it is owned by the government. And you can see here private companies, Tata company is there, Birla company is there, Reliance is there, Infosys is there, Wipro is there, biotech companies are there, Ranbaxy are there, Dr. Reddy's lab is there. So many companies, these are privately owned companies. These are not in the hands of the government, they are in the hands of the individuals or the companies. Activities in the private sector are guided by the motive to earn profits. Here the activities are done on the basis to earn profits. I told you everyone does the job, everyone do the work. Why do they work? In order to earn monetary benefits, in order to earn money. We are not doing service jobs. ಸೇವಾ ಮಾಡಕತ್ತಿಲ್ರಿ ನಾವು ರೊಕ್ಕದ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ರೊಕ್ಕ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗನ ನಮ್ಗೇನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ, ಮನಿ ನಡೀತಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಸೇವಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ದೇ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ ದ NGOs, National General Organizations. They work as the nurse, they work as the doctors, they work as the service workers, right? What their job is? In order to provide services to the people at free of cost. But maximum people are working where they get the monetary benefits in terms of money. To get such services, we have to pay money to these individuals and companies. Yes, in order to get the services, in order to purchase the goods and services, what you have to do? You have to pay the money. If you are purchasing a pen, if you are purchasing the pencil, do that shop owner gives you free of cost? No. What he does? He takes the money for that. If you pay 10 rupees or 5 rupees, he will give you one pen. If you don't pay the money, he will not give the pen or the pencil. So like that, here such organizations, it may be the government or it may be the private, these sectors are working in terms of the money. If you pay, the individuals pay the money, you will get the service. The purpose of the public sector is not just to earn profits. Government raise money through taxes and other ways to meet expenses on the services rendered by it. Modern day government spend on a whole range of activities. What are these activities? Why do government spend on such activities? Let's find out. So what happens here? Government is spending lot of money on its activities. How do they spend money? Do the ministers from their pocket they give the money to the government? No. We all the individuals, the citizen of India are paying the taxes to the government, and from that taxes, from that revenue, they are providing the services to the people. ರೈಟ್, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬ್ತೀವ್ರಿ, ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ನಿಂದ ನಮಗೇನು ಕೊಡಾಕತ್ತಾರ? ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತಾರ. ರೈಟ್, ಯಾರು ಕೊಡಾಕತ್ತಾರ ಈ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ KSRTC, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಟಿಕೆಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ from KSRTC bus is much lesser than if you travel in VRL or if you travel in some other private buses. The cost is more, but if you travel in the government buses, the cost of the ticket is less. Let us see why the government is providing these services. There are several things needed by the society as a whole, but which the private sector will not provide at a reasonable cost. Why? Some of these need spending large sums of money, what is beyond the capacity of the private sector. So here you can see there are some services which the private sector is giving, but not free of cost. It is charging for that. You are traveling in VRL service, you are very happy. When you travel in VRL bus, you are very happy with the service provided by it. But does the cost of the ticket is less? No, the cost of the ticket is more compared to the KSRTC. Also, collecting money from thousands of people who use these facilities is not easy. Even if they do provide these things, they would charge a high rate for their use. Examples are construction of roads, bridges, railways, harbors, generating electricity, providing irrigation through dams, etc. Thus, government have to undertake such heavy spending and ensure that these facilities are available for everyone. Yes, even though they are collecting the taxes from the thousands of people, it is not easy for them to provide these services. If these services are provided by the private people, then what happens? They used to charge you lot of money, heavy money. For example, construction of roads, construction of bridges, construction of railways, construction of harbors, irrigation, providing irrigation facilities, generating electricity, and the construction of dams. It is not an easy job. Construction of canals by the private people, they would have charged you a lot of money. But if it is provided by the government, so what happens? These facilities are provided by the government, so what happens? The charge is less, and the government spends the money in order to see that everyone is benefited. Everyone is benefited from the services provided by the services provided by this government. Right, if the government is not providing the service, if it is in the private hands, we would have paid far more, much more for the all these facilities. There are some activities which the government has to support. The private sector may not continue their production or business unless government encourages it. For example, selling electricity at cost of generation may push up the cost of production of goods in many industries. Many units, especially small scale units, might have to shut down. Yes, if the generation of electricity, if it is given in the hands of the private sector, what happens? They charge very high cost. They will charge very high cost for that. Then what happens? Because of the electricity, the production process is going on. Because of the electricity, it is provided by the government. So what happens? The cost of the electricity bill is coming down because they are giving subsidy. Government is paying half rate, half cost of electricity. So what happens? The electricity which we are using, the electricity bill is less. If it is given to the private companies, then what happens? They charge very high cost on it. So what the small companies will do? They will get shut down by paying the electricity bill to the government. Government here steps in by producing and supplying electricity at rates which the industries can afford. Government has to bear a part of the cost. I am telling some percentage of the cost which the small scale industries are using electricity is paid by the government. So small scale industries are surviving in our country. If they are only made to pay all the electricity bill, they would have shut down. It would not have become easy for them. Similarly, the government in India buys wheat and rice from farmers at a fair price. Yes, the wheat, rice, jawar, whatever they are growing, the government buys the cereals, pulses from the farmers at a fair price. Fair price means at a good price. This it stores in its godowns and sells at a lower price to consumers through ration shops. What it is doing? It is storing it in the godown. It is purchasing from the farmer and it is storing it in the godown and it is selling at very lower price. For example, government is purchasing 5 rupees per kg rice. It is selling 2 rupees per kg rice for whom? for the poor people below poverty line. At the ration shops you are getting the rice. You have read about this in chapter on food security in class 9. Yes, I have explained you all these things. Ration shops, public distribution system. Do you remember, students, in the public distribution system topic I have discussed you a lot about these things, ration shops and all. Government purchase the goods and services at a low price and they sell at a fair price, and they sell to the consumers at a low price. Government has to bear some of the cost. As I told you, 5 rupees per kg it is purchasing, and it is selling 1 rupees per kg. So 4 rupees of the cost, who is taking that burden? Government is bearing that burden. Government is taking that burden on its shoulders. In this way, the government supports both farmers and consumers. Yes, in this way the government is supporting both the farmers as well as the consumers. From purchasing the farmers burden is also less, and selling it to the consumers, poor people, the consumers burden also became less. There are a large number of activities which are the primary responsibility of the government. The government must spend on these. Providing health and education facilities for all is one example. As the government is responsible to provide the facility for the health and education. I told you these two are very important in your life. Again and again I am stressing you, children, 10th class children, please concentrate on these two things. That is, one is health and another one is education. You are all blessed. You have got such a good parents who have put up in such a good school. You are getting the good education facility, you are getting the good health facility. But still there are so many people. You have read about the Sukharam, you have read about the Sakal's story, you have read about the Vilas story. You have that in the 6th standard, 7th standard, you have read about them. They don't get the proper education. So what happens? His life will be ruined. He will die as a poor, right? Even his health, he will not be able to provide himself with the good health facilities, right? So those things will happen. So education is the most important thing. So don't waste your time. You are in the 10th class, start reading, read well. Don't blame COVID-19 is there, that is there, this is there. We are giving you all the videos. We are sending you the videos. We are giving you online classes. Please watch the videos, read it, understand the concepts, underline the important things. You read all the question and answers, 1 mark questions, multiple choice questions which are given in the all-in-one social science book. Start reading. Write answers point wise. For 3 marks answer, write introduction, points, then conclusion. For 5 marks question, write introduction, points, conclusion. Don't forget it, children. It is very, very important. Right? What you have to write? Introduction, points, and then you have to write conclusion. Start doing it for all 3 marks question and 5 marks question. You have to do it. You have to write it. It's very, very important. Yes, now come here. The government is spending much on the providing health and education facilities for all is one example. It is spending crores together of money for education, for the health facilities. We have discussed some of these issues in first chapter. Running proper schools and providing quality education, particularly elementary education, is the duty of government. India's size of illiterate population is one of the largest in the world. You can see that in illiterate population is more in India compared to the other countries. We have more number of illiterates in India. Illiterate means the person who don't know to read and write. Still in India the literacy rate is just 68%. Then still 32% of the people are still illiterate. So what is necessary? The children should not leave the school. They should not become child laborers. They have to come to the school. They have to take the education. That is most important in order to make India economically developed and socially developed. What is important? One is health and another one is providing education. So government is doing a lot of things from its hand. Now whose duty is to do it? Now your parents are doing lot of things for you. Now whose duty is to study? It is yours. Like that, the citizens of India, it is the duty of citizens of India to understand their duties and send their children to the schools. Take the facilities of the health providers, go to the government hospitals, get the proper treatment for their diseases. That is whose duty? That is the duty of the citizens of the country. Similarly, we know that nearly half of India's children are malnourished and a quarter of them are critically ill. Yes, this is very dangerous and very horrible things to listen. In India's children are malnourished, means they are not having the proper nutrition. They are not getting the 3 times food, right? Breakfast, meals and dinner they are not getting. Lunch and dinner they are not getting. They are not getting the proper meals, proper food to eat. Children, just think, you are all so blessed. You are getting the food to eat. You are getting the clothes to wear. You have a shelter. You have so good parents who are providing you so good education. So what is your duty now? To sit and study, to work for the final examination, to score more and more marks in the 10th standard. Especially social science is a scoring subject. Study well, put all your efforts so that you can score 100 out of 100. It is not at all an impossible task. It is all possible. And who will do it? You should do it. Right, we have read about the infant mortality rates. Infant mortality rates means we have seen that before giving birth only the baby is dying in the womb. That is happening. Odisha 41 or Madhya Pradesh 47 is higher than some of the poorest regions of the world. In Odisha, every year 41 and in Madhya Pradesh 47 babies are dying. Government also needs to pay attention to aspects of human development such as availability of safe drinking water, housing facilities for the poor and food and nutrition. So these are the things which the government has to provide. They have to provide safe drinking water. They have to provide housing facilities for whom? For the poor. And they have to provide the food and nutrition which is needed for the small children. For them calcium, iron, protein, vitamins, minerals, zinc, copper. These are very much essential for the growth and brain development of the child. If these are not provided properly, definitely there will be no growth and there will be poor growth and poor development of the child. It is also the duty of the government to take care of the poorest and most ignored regions of the country through increased spending in such areas. Yes, government has to spend more money on these things, on these areas, so that the health and the education is provided to them. They could get the good health and the good education in these things, in these areas. Children